I'm Charles Ebune, and this is GLOBEWATCH, Oklahoma City. George W. Bush tonight is known across the world as the President of the United States of America, who presided a presidency which witnessed the worst terrorist attacks in the United States of America. I'm talking of the 9/11 episode. But President Bill Clinton is equally known by Americans as the president with a presidency which witnessed the worst terrorist attack, homegrown, in the United States of America. I'm talking about the April 19, 1995 Oklahoma City bombings, which killed not less than 100 Americans. 20 years after, just how far has such sad events redefined American life and the state of Oklahoma in particular? My guest today on GLOBEWATCH is one of the ladies who is a senator of the state of Oklahoma. Senator Anastasia Pittman, welcome to GLOBEWATCH.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I was a kid, a primary school pupil in 1995 when the Oklahoma City bombings took place. Where were you at that time?
I was at home when the bombing took place, caring for my grandmother, and I lived at that time a little bit outside of Oklahoma City, and I was an educator. I was a teacher at Oklahoma Christian University, Oklahoma Christian Academy, if you will, and the whole city shook, and we heard the sounds, and the wave, the shock wave, still moved things in our home, things that we did not know at the time that it was a terrorist attack.
What was the experience like? This was the worst episode of home-produced terrorism in the United States of America.
It was none like anything we've ever experienced in Oklahoma and even in the United States. This was prior to 9/11. This is prior to anything we've ever experienced. So for us, it became an immediate focus on public safety. We had law enforcement, we had firefighters, we even had journalists. A journalist here by the name of Lee Evans took the lead on the story, and she became a phenomenal national sensation because this is what happened in the 10th District of the United States, Western District, Western Judicial District. And so for us to invite a national president down to say, this is a state of emergency. There's a federal building that has been under attack. It has killed numerous people, including children, at a daycare that was located under the Alfred P. Murrah Murrah building. So we've never seen anything like it. Oklahoma's resilient. We have recovered. We now have a national museum to capture those artifacts.
So many people died in Oklahoma, plus 100, including innocent children.
Yes.
Has America ever clearly come to identify the cause of such a barbaric act?
Absolutely. We did clarify that Timothy McVeigh was an individual who was the mastermind behind that. We had attorney generals, attorneys, people protecting the person that we captured. A local police officer made a routine stop just before Stillwater, right outside of Guthrie, outside of Logan County, just north of here, because he had an expired tag and some explosive powders in the car. When he made a routine stop for speeding and a tag, he was captured and he was brought back, and he revealed some of the other people who co-collaborated with him on this terrorist attack.
Most of us of the external world, when we watch American media today, terrorism is seen from a global perspective, the Middle East, Africa, especially the northern part of the country. Did America ever imagine that homegrown terrorism can be so catastrophic before 9/11?
No, we had no idea. We have had small instances like within the compounds of Waco, Texas, where we had some terrorists perform
The Montana militias and all
different
that.
things like that, yes. And so we've had it on a small scale. But to look at the mastermind behind planning, behind being mad at the government and attacking a federal government building right here in Oklahoma, which is in the center of the trade corridor, which leads from Mexico to Canada. We have international trade that comes in and out of Oklahoma on a regular basis, and everything stopped when the terrorism came.
Okay, everything stopped, and that meant that life had to move on because
Yes.
victory or no victory, life continues. How much did that attack shape the way the people of Oklahoma in particular live and the United States counterterrorism policy in general?
Well, it is affected it tremendous. We've had numerous changes in our school systems, changes in security-wise of entering federal and state government buildings. We now have metal detectors. We have live security, 24 hours. We even have TSA security that has increased in our international and domestic flights. So we check babies. We make senior citizens take their shoes off. You have to take off your jackets and your belts to enter in. You have to raise your arms to be scanned. So a lot of things have taken place. We've identified different levels of threats, like you can go to a code orange for a bomb threat or anything like that. So we have put policies in place to help make safer travel, safe entertainment, and safer schools.
As you and I talk, there is an investigation going on about a 26-year-old young man who shot the father, who happens to be the Labor Commissioner for the state of Oklahoma, Mark Costello.
Yes.
There is an issue of dysfunctional legal system here. People still move with weapons. That element of anger is still there.
Mm-hmm. And he was, Commissioner Mark Costello was stabbed by his son in a Brahms parking lot, and we believe he went there to reconcile with his son. But in Oklahoma, we do celebrate the freedoms that we've been given by the federal government and our Constitution, the United States Constitution of America. We have a Second Amendment right that we live by, and we have the right to bear arms. And it's for those citizens who do not have convicted felons in their background. It's for those citizens who take training classes, and for those citizens who register through our OSBI program, and they pay to have a concealed weapons license. So we want to empower those citizens, not take away their rights to protect their family, their friends, and their household. But sometimes the invisible line is crossed.
This is a country known as a well of freedoms, but unfortunately, you have hundreds of children killed each year because of arms. This issue of arms bearing is counterproductive to them.
Yes, and it can be counterproductive in a number of ways. It's counterproductive when we have illegal guns that are not accounted for, guns that are imported from other countries.
Even legal guns prove to be counterproductive, because you know stories of Virginia Tech, you know Stanwood and others, Fort Hood. You know all of these. Barack Obama says that please let us get away these guns. A strong and maybe extra wing of the Republican Party, what they call the Tea movement, or if you like, tax. Enough already. Say, look, Mr. President, we cannot do this. Where do Americans place themselves today in this gun debate, which of course is leading to too much blood in the U.S.?
Well, Americans are divided because it's a free country and they have to vote. Each state develops their own laws. Like in Chicago, where President Obama is from. There is twice the national killings every day of African Americans.
Here in Oklahoma in particular, what have you done in particular with this issue of the gun debate? This is one of the strongest states in the United States of America with a very big Republican fellowship.
We have election cycles every 2 years and for state representatives. And we have election cycles every 4 years. So we have had massive movements and debates, healthy dialogue and discussions on removing guns and having gun control. But when you have the national NRA, who is a national lobbyist that influences some legislative leaders, sometimes the debate gets lost and it becomes an issue of who pours money behind the issue. Because we understand that there's a problem, there's a concern. We have to beef up our police. We are 200 police short just in Oklahoma City alone because people have to risk their lives every day to protect regular citizens. So we have opened up our academies. We are doing massive recruitments with diversity. We are promoting African Americans, Native Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanics, whoever wants to be a part of law enforcement, and we're increasing the level of training that they are receiving so that officer training can detect some of these senseless killings.
Has there been particular legislation on this issue? You as a mother in particular, when you sit in your house and you put on CNN, you put on CBS, you put on MSNBC, the networks and the cable distributors in the United States of America, and every time you put American television, it is either a murder in this area, a shooting in this place, a stabbing in this. Are you worried? Will you be happy seeing that happening to your own child? And how will that affect legislation?
We can introduce legislation of any kind. So we have had gun control legislation introduced. As a mother, it concerns me, not just as a biological mother, but I'm a stepmother, I'm a foster mom, I'm a mentor, a former educator. So I'm constantly surrounded by children. We bring children to the state capitol to learn, but we want those children to be safe, and we don't want to penalize good citizens who know how to bear arms in a safe manner. It's citizens that we have to have mental health. We have mental health disparities. We have health disparities. And when we have people who are not getting treatment, it boils down to mental health treatment. People are convicted of crimes of hate and violence because of mental health.
The truth is that as arms are everywhere, people will even use them to kill the very homosexuals which you want to protect. Is it logical to say yes to homosexuality and say no to reforming the guns law?
It wouldn't naturally be logical. It's only logical in a legal world. And when you have constitutions that look at precedents that have been set, discrimination is discrimination against any group. So my ethical and moral responsibility is to not judge people on their personal choices, because we're not there. I can't look at a homosexual and identify who they are if they don't reveal their sexuality. It's a private issue. And as a Christian, we embrace forgiveness and reconciliation. But to say, is it logical? No. Personally, I don't believe it's logical to say yes to arms or say yes to homosexuality and no to bearing arms. I think the Constitution is set. Each state has their own constitution as well. And so each state identifies laws that they will follow. Oklahoma has not embraced that concept. Oklahoma, now that the U.S. Supreme Court has passed it in all states, Oklahoma's state constitution only honors unions between a man and a woman. Now we have been sentenced and summoned by the national government Supreme Court because of the decision that the court decision has been made. We now have to abide by that law. But we didn't adopt it as a state before this judgment came down.
Let's go back to Oklahoma in particular. This is a state which was terrorized, of course, in 1995, and that greatly affected your tourism industry. And as it rebounds?
Yes, our tourism is up and coming. We have people coming from all parts of the United States for our jazz. We have Charlie Christian International Jazz Festival. Musicians come from all over, like London, Paris, and France. We've been awarded things because of our tribes. People come and talk about our American Indian Cultural Center that we're trying to complete because we recognize 39 federally recognized tribes here in Oklahoma. People want to know those different cultures. But state government started here in 1907. But there was Oklahoma territory and there was Indian territory prior to statehood.
November 16, 1907, where you
That's
became
correct.
the 46th state to join what is today the United States of America. What is the portion of this state in particular in the American dream? What do you contribute economically, politically, socially, culturally, tourism? What is the contribution? In other words, what is the place of Oklahoma in American society?
Oklahoma leads the country. We used to be first in early childhood development, but now we are leading in some not so good areas, which is incarcerating women. We're number one in the world for incarcerating women. We're number 4 in the world for, in the United States, for prescription drug abuse. There are lots of things we could work on. But in Oklahoma, I serve as a dual citizen. I am a citizen of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma, but I'm also an Oklahoma State citizen. And I serve in the legislature as the only African-American female out of 149 elected officials. So tourism, economic development, housing, access to health care, it's all possible in Oklahoma. But we have to extend those services beyond those who have it now and cover those who live in poverty, who still suffer from hunger. And so this can be done in the United States. We pull our resources together because in the United States, we have more than enough.
You have probably more than enough. You just enumerated a series of success stories. You come from one of those minority groups in the United States of America. You can call them Hispanics today. You can call African Americans. You can call the Choctaw country and other Native Americans. When you look at the composition of the American society today, and Oklahoma in particular, do you think that minority groups have emerged?
Yes. Our Hispanic population is double. We are looking at Hispanic populations transcending from Texas and California. We are now bringing in teachers in our Oklahoma City public school systems to address English as a second language, English as a second language learners, and those who can help read, create dialogue, and be able to communicate effectively to our Hispanic population. It is growing in leaps and bounds among other ethnic cultures as well.
My audience watching you across the world will probably like to have a hint of a kind of bow checking. Who is Senator Anastasia Pittman?
Wow, that's a good question. A very diverse background. I am a journalist and public relationist. I'm an educator and I'm a consultant. So all of these things allow me to do case management. My job as a legislator is to refer, advocate, and link people to the resources that they need. We do more than propose legislation. We work outside of session where we make laws and concentrate on laws about 4 to 6 months out of the year. The other 6 months, we travel, we learn best practices, we attend conferences, and we bring that information back so that we can compare laws and find out how to keep Oklahoma innovative and on the cutting edge. And sometimes as females, we get challenged because we only have maybe 16 females in the entire legislative body. So it is truly dominated by men, but not as diverse as we would like to see. There's only 5 African Americans, 1 Hispanic, 1 Asian American, and all the rest are white counterparts. So our colleagues on both sides of the aisle, the way we do business is by relationships. So you get elected, you serve on a variety of committees. I serve on Health and Human Services. We do everything from birth to death. I serve on Transportation, where we look at infrastructure. I serve on Veteran Affairs committees, special committees, Education for higher education. So I look at how we bring students in internationally and domestically to enter into our higher education institutions.
You're just talking about education. Oklahoma is known across the world as one of those states in the United States of America with one of the largest foreign student population. And when we watch America from outside, the issue of violence is recurrent.
We don't allow guns on campuses at our universities. We use campus police, local city police, and student body have organizations that they participate in where they police themselves. So international students are welcome. Oklahoma City University and the University of Oklahoma have international programs that are very successful, very well known across the world. And the only issue that they've had in the past was currency, the difference between paying for college, not safety.
Okay, probably we'll be coming to an end very soon, but I would like to put this question to you, a question about environment. And this is a city in America well known for tornadoes.
Yes.
How scary is it to stay here where you don't know where the weather will become very funny? I have to tell my audience that I have spent almost a week here and the weather has been very friendly to me.
Absolutely. And we're excited to have you here in Oklahoma. We just brought in a group of international students to come and study our weather. And our weather is predictable. So we have seasons, and there is a tornado season, wherewith you protect yourselves by having special rooms built into your home for safety. So if in fact you get a tornado warning, all the family enters into what we call a storm shelter underground, or they enter into a room, a closet, a bathroom, into their home that protects them from inclement weather. We have what you call Tornado Alley. There's a place in Moore, Oklahoma, where tornadoes reoccur and reoccur, but the people continue to rebuild there because their homes get paid for, and international disaster relief.
I tried to visit it. Let's end the interview from where we started. Terrorism.
Yes.
Most communities across the world today are facing suicide bombings. It is the case with my own country, Cameroon. You will talk of Marwa, Fotokol, Amshide, and others. What lessons has Oklahoma learned that she can teach others facing this issue today?
Oh, wow. We have a city council, we have a city mayor that studies city ordinances about safety, and they issue those reports. We have what you call things that get you prepared for terrorism. National security. We have in the federal area where the bombing occurred, we have emergency management systems. An emergency management system teaches us how to respond in crisis management situations. So we have plans that can be pulled down from the internet, plans where we can introduce you to people who study that and who specialize in emergency management systems.
Senator Anastasia Pittman, Oklahoma, thanks very much indeed for being guest on GlobeWatch.
Thank you so very much. My pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you.